Peace and blessings, beloveds. Astaris Miraculi, here in the name of the good in all, the good in everything, and the good in everyone. So this is something that we want to definitely do, particularly during these times, is absolutely finding the good within ourselves and the good within everyone. All is well in the kingdom of this sacred moment. Thank you for being there or being here with me. We're going to touch in on some things to help to facilitate an expansion of power, an expansion of wisdom. And so it's time to remember who we really are, to remember where we're from, what we're for, and that we're divine, and what was lost we have now found by virtue of the Creator's intention for us. Let me get my water. I need some water. Hold on, beloved. So Creator has an intention for us that is so divine, so beautiful, so powerful, so loving, so wise. And we want to be in the remembrance of that. We want to come home to ourselves. And so we want to remember the goodness that exists within everything that we are facing in our world. And we want to look for the blessedness that exists within all of this. You know, the love, the wisdom, the power. So one of the things that I want to do is to speak about the social distancing, which has its significance, and it was in a way challenging for me because I'm a very loving person and I love hugging. I'm a very hugging oriented person. And so, you know, when I would experience, you know, people exercising the social distancing, you know, the ego part of me initially had a reaction to that. And now I recognize the beauty of that. The key is when we are in the social distancing, that we would do so from a place of love. The difficulty lies in those who are exercising the social distancing, you know, the 10-foot rule, you know, being 10-foot space, you know, between us and so forth, that we have a loving resonance within the heart. You know, like I might say, I'm hugging you from over here, you see, because it doesn't require that we hug or physically touch in order to be in a place of a loving expression. We can be that wherever we are, just like me shooting these videos. I mean, I love you with the passion of heaven, and I know that many of you, if not all of you, are sensitive enough to feel that vibration. So we don't even have to be in the same physical proximity in order to feel the amazing frequency of love. So when you're exercising the social distancing, then allow yourself to be really tender in your heart. You know, maybe smiling at the beloved, you know, letting them know from over there that you love them, you honor them, you feel for them, and you are at one with them, even though we exercise this thing of social distancing. And so we can do that from a place of divinity. And I encourage you, beloveds, don't do it from a place of aloofness or even from a place of standoffishness, you know, and even downright meanness, you know, in the way of, I got to protect myself from you because you may be contaminated and I don't want you to contaminate me. So as we exercise this discipline of social distancing, let's do that with a sense of joy. And also as we are in the experience of spending all of this time at home, let's not call it, you know, being quarantined. Let's call it a sacred soul retreat. where we're experiencing something that is completely different. We're playing hide and tweak. So some of us have played hide and seek, but this is hide and tweak. Hide and tweak. So we are hiding away in our home experience while at the same time tweaking our energy so that we are coming into a more divine alignment with what we are really meant to be. See, we see that the world is playing hide and tweak. We see that governments are being tweaked. We see that the spirit of selfishness and greed doesn't have the same place in our world right now. One cannot really successfully be greedy and selfish right now. There can be an attempt at that, but the nature of the paradigm of initiation that we're in right now is that there's a greater tendency toward recognizing the oneness that we all are. Recognizing, and I'm sure many of us have, how much we thrive on human contact, even just, being out and about and being able to move, through, connections with people, even if we're not directly in touch with them. There's a certain resonance of that because everywhere we go, we're experiencing some significant mirrored reflection of some vital part of who we are. And so we don't have that right now. But we don't want to bemoan the situation that we're in. Let's do what we can do to take advantage of the sacred company that we're keeping with self. And so we call it a sacred soul retreat rather than, calling it being quarantined. See, there's a negative implication of quarantine, we have to be quarantined because, we might be contagious with something that can be harmful to others. And not that there isn't some human truth to that, but, languaging is really important. That's why I'm no longer calling this virus the coronavirus. I want to just call it COVID-19, which is the technical name for it. But when we call it coronavirus, we're actually aligning it with something that's very benevolent, like the corona of the sun, the corona of the moon, or the corona, which has some association with the crown of our being, our crown chakra. You see, and no virus or disease is meant to be defined by that. So I invite you to consider not calling it the coronavirus. Call it COVID-19, or sometimes I just say the virus. So that's something that we can do to breathe more life and more goodness into what's going on. Now, there are many of our beloveds who are right out there on the front lines, our medical practitioners, doctors and nurses, and they are interacting directly with people, who have contracted this virus. And sometimes they're scared, fearful that they might contaminate themselves in some way. And so what I'd like for you to do with me right now is to hold the vision of the strength, the vibrancy, and the tenacious energy with all of those who are on the front lines working with people, who are in the hospitals. And just let's send them some good energy. Let's see them as being extremely strong. Let's see them as knowing within their own being their invincibility, invisibility, and invulnerability to this situation, this virus energy. So we can send them energy, we can send them upliftment, we can send them strength. We want to do that because they too represent that part of us. We want to send strength to those who may have the symptoms of the virus and have not been able to actually get care, because the hospital facilities, really are just having great difficulty in attending to everybody. So we can all hold sacred space for all of those who might be experiencing the symptoms and in fact may actually have the virus and are not able to get the care that they're reaching out for. let's send them strength and a feeling of well-being. And let's send an energy that would really up-level their immune system, because they too are that part of us. And so, Divine Creator, we see all of our beloveds who have contracted this virus as receiving the strength of the divine. We see them as being elevated and knowing that they are empowered by everything. Thank you, Divine Creator, for giving them the resonance of courageousness. Thank you, Divine Creator, for empowering them with the highest frequency of patience. And in that patience, where they are aware of the fact that they're in the sacred pause. They're not between a rock and a hard place, and they're not in limbo. They're in the sacred pause. And even when they're having to wait to be cared for, let them tap into the highest resonance of what it is to be a patient. That it isn't accidental that a patient is called that, because a patient has to be patient. And so we see them, Divine Creator, by virtue of your grace, as being divinely patient, as being courageous, as knowing that they will overcome the situation. And Divine Creator, we call you forth to assist us in demystifying death, that we would rise above the tendency to be afraid of death. For death is just another version of life, because when we lay the body down, we enter into another domain of existence wherein we don't need a body, where we move in the resonance of spirit. There is that formlessness of spirit, which still expresses the life force that we eternally are. And so let us let go of the tendency to be afraid of death. And all you beloveds, I ask you to join with me. Let us not be afraid of death, even though we're very passionate about staying in our bodies, and that's wonderful too. But it is not helpful to be afraid of death. And it's important that we know that on the other side of consciousness, when one lays the body down, that there is a glorious adventure on the other side of consciousness that awaits us in formlessness. And so we don't need to be afraid of death. To be afraid of death is to be afraid of another dimension of life. And I specifically speak about this death situation because that's one of the things that so many people across the planet are fearful of. Fearful of death. And that which we're afraid of, we become magnetic to. We attract to ourselves the things that we feel fear about. And so we want to let go of the tendency to be afraid. Not letting fear hijack our attention. Not letting fear molest our attention, where all we're looking at is outcomes that we really don't want. And of course, as human beings, we sometimes feel some measure of fear. God knows I have felt some, and thank God it was very short-lived. For example, when I feel some fear, here's one of the things that I do. I begin to actually spin my chakras. I'll start with the crown, and I'm opening up the energy in the crown, and I'll bring it inward, and then I'll move the energy outward. You see, and that's the capstone of my being. You see, and then I'll bring it into the brow. You see, that place of the inner seeing. I call it the first eye rather than the third eye, because indeed it is first before the two rather than third after the two. And then I bring it into the throat. You see, that part of us where we walk our talk and we speak our truth, and we're about the resonance of our emotional honesty. And this is something that you can do, beloved, that will clear energy very quickly, because any fear that we feel, any blockages in life, any illnesses is going to be centered within one of those 7 chakras within our body. We have the crown of the head, the brow, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral just below the navel, and the root being at the base of the spine as well as in the pubic area. And so by clearing these energies, we move very quickly, through fear. We clear fear very quickly. So here, you might even join with me if you don't have crystal wands or crystals in your hands. Just use your hands. You see, and here we are at the crown. and at the crown, we're opening up energy. This is the Mount of Transfiguration. This is that place where we share in our God and goddesshood. And so we offer clearing there. And then we offer clearing to our first eye and that tendency to see inwardly. And we don't allow our imagination to be hijacked by fear and looking at all of the different outcomes that we absolutely want nothing to do with. And so we open up this first eye and we come into alignment with seeing what is needed, that our prayer will be heeded, and seeing it as though we've already succeeded. Then we come to the throat. We're walking our talk. We're speaking our truth. We're being about our emotional honesty. And we create that clearing and we create that opening in that area. And then we come to the heart, where we're opening the frequency of love. Our heart is the heart of God. Our heart is the heart of Goddess. Our heart is the heart of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Buddha, Christ, Krishna, Allah, Yahweh, Wakantanka. And we come to the level, of the solar plexus, that area of our emotionality, and we clear, the emotional energies in the solar plexus and open that frequency. And then we come into the navel chakra, or that is the sacral chakra, which relates to sexuality, and it relates to the force of creation. And we bring about the clearing there so that we become more powerful creators, and we clear the energy of erotic shame and sexual abuse and sexual misuse, and the recognition that none of that misuse and none of that shame and that dark behavior around sexuality ever defines sexuality, that it's defined by sacredness and beauty and truth. And we've all earned our incarnation by virtue of that beautiful energy. And so we clear that energy and we step into a place of being more powerful creators. And then we clear the frequency in the root chakra, which is what the great disturbance is on our planet right now. There's great difficulties associated with the root chakra, our foundation, our methodology, our timing, our planning, our physical creating and all of that. And so much of that is brought to a halt right now. And so we bring about clearing there. So those are things that you can do, beloved, that will clear the energy of fear very, very quickly and enable you to come back to center. So be aware of that and use that vibration, the resonance of clearing, the resonance of opening, and know that you are meant to be empowered by everything. We are all meant to be absolutely empowered by everything. And so anything that we can do to find blessings in this situation, even as we look at our world leaders, and, we're not very happy about some of the ways in which world leaders are dealing with things. And it isn't that they're bad or wrong. There's just an element of immaturity, at least spiritual and emotional immaturity, because so many of our world leaders are very strong in the mind, but not so strong in the heart. Not so strong in the emotional body, not so strong in spirituality. And so as we look at that, we want to also see the good of that, because that becomes a signpost of some of what we might not want to be when we've come into a place of spiritual evolvement. So let's hold the vision of our world leaders as rising into a higher resonance of their being, coming into something greater and being able to share, this very difficult information from a place of balance and equilibrium, and something that offers a sense of comfort to the people. Because so much of the energy that is being offered through the media is really, really scary and not really presented in a way where things can go in smoothly. And where we feel like we're rocked in the arms of our Creator. And, this is why I offer the kinds of messages that I offer, because I want all of our beloveds to feel a sense of safety, to feel a sense of comfort, and to find comfort in the fact that we are the resonance of eternity. You see, there is no negativity, no virus, or no thing that is anti-divine that will ever outdistance us. Because we are eternal, and all of those things will absolutely pass. And so we want to find a sense of comfort in the resonance, or in the reality that we are the resonance of eternity. We exist from beginningless beginning to endless end, and will always and forevermore be unfolding down the path of eternity. We are the stuff that eternity is made of. And speaking of eternity, we want to, really allow ourselves to tap into the eternal solution to this virus crisis. See, there's a linear solution, which is one that we have to wait for. In due time, we get to the other side of it, the problem gets solved, and relief comes into play on the physical level. But there is something else. There is eternal solution. See, solution is that which is co-eternal with God, because solution is that which has our back. Solution is that which enables us to rise above the problems of life. Just like us, solution is co-eternal with God. That means that the solution to this crisis is already there. It's in the womb of our souls. It's in the womb of creation. And so it's already there. All we have to do is reach in and allow it. See, we don't even have to invoke the solution. We certainly don't have to manufacture it or even create it, because it's already there. We allow it, and it comes forth. And that's the same energy that happens in the creation story. What does the Creator say? Let there be light. Let us make man in our image and our likeness. You see? So it's always Father God that says, let there be. But guess what? It's Mother God that says, and there was. Because in the creation story, you always hear, let there be light. Let us make man in our own image and likeness. And then you'll hear a response that says, and there was light. You see? And the earth did bring forth grass, and on and on and on like that. So it's actually the Father God that says, let there be. And the Mother God says, and there was. Just like in the creation story, it says, so God created the heavens and the earth. Or it says, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, said, let there be light, and there was light. So the moving upon the face of the waters was actually the Father God moving upon the body of the mother. See, in the patriarchal system, there is a tendency to be acknowledging of the male aspect of God and not the female aspect of God. And that's one of our problems in our world, is that we're not embracing, at least in this Western world, the female aspect of divinity. So if we have a father and a mother on the physical plane, you better believe we have a father and a mother in the heavenly realms. Father says, let there be, and mother says, and there was. Just like in the driving of your car, you put your car in drive, and that's you saying, let there be forward motion. Okay? But then it's the motor, which is the mother, that carries it forth. So the transmission says, let there be forward motion, but only the motor can say, and there was forward motion. See? And the motor is the mother by which things are carried forth. You see, that's why when it comes to the creation of physical life, Father may release his seed and say, let there be a baby. But then after the cycle of 9 months, when the water breaks, it's only mama that can say, and there was a baby. So we even see the as above, so below. Just like God moved upon the face of the water, said, let there be light, and there was light. See, moved upon the face of the water. So man also moves upon the face of the waters, biological man, when he releases his seed and he says, let there be a baby. And after the cycle of 9 months, when the water breaks, mama says, and there was a baby. And there is a baby. So we're very powerful creators. And it's really important for us to be in the remembrance of the power that we are. So let's see what is needed, that our prayers will be heeded. Let's see it as though we've already succeeded, having faith in advance, letting good be left not up to chance. For if faith be postdated, then our blessings will be belated. And when our good we detain, the whole world bears the strain. So we invoke the spirit of fire and purge the enemy of our desire, and we make the wise decision to maximize our vision. So speaking about the maximizing of our vision, right now with me, beloved, really see and feel the resonance of that part of us that sees with the eyes of God, that feels with the heart of God, that knows with the mind of God. So I'm going to offer some vocal harmonics now. And as I do, align with me in tapping into all of the divinity of your soul, of my soul, of the soul of the world at large, and even unto the whole universe. This tone for the crown chakra. This tone for the brow chakra, the first eye. This tone for the throat chakra. This tone for the heart chakra. This tone for the solar plexus. And the next tone for the sacral chakra, just below the navel. Somewhere over the rainbow. And now for the root chakra and the balancing of all of the structural things within our world. My God, that felt really wonderful. So, and I just want to top it off with some didgeridoo. Let me grab my didgeridoo and top it off with that. And I thank you so much, beloved, for being present, with me. I thank you so much for remembering who you are and how powerful you are, and for knowing that you're meant to be empowered by everything, and for allowing yourself to really pay attention to what are all of the advantages within the adversity, paying attention to the fact that, being in this sacred soul retreat. We're able to dive deeper into our being than ever before. And also the fact that the world is going through the same dilemma all at the same time. This is something that it has the capacity to bring us so much closer together. That's definitely an advantage within the adversity. I know in my lifetime, I've never encountered a crisis that was going on with the whole world at the same time. I mean, I remember natural disasters, hurricane here, tornado there, earthquake here, but it's in this or that place, But this is something that represents a state of emergency throughout the whole world. And as potentially terrifying as that can be, there is a huge silver lining there, an advantage within the adversity, a recognition that this situation is an angel in distress, because the fact that the whole world is going through the same sacred dilemma at the same time, means that there is a potential for bonding and oneness and collective, mutual collective empowerment, that is there, and a recognition of the fact that the greatest reality of who we are individually and collectively is not based in materiality or physicality. It's based in spirituality. It's based in formlessness. And we're experiencing that right now because so many of our material and physical accoutrements have been taken away, like they've taken our toys away. And that's a good thing, because we're going to learn that there are other toys that exist on a completely different level. And I don't belittle for a minute, our physical and material toys. All of that has definitely some importance, but we're meant to tap into who we are in the inner sanctum of our being, and recognizing, that womb of creation that we are, that we are the vortex of creation out of which everything springs, but it starts as formlessness rather than form. So that being said, let me grab my didgeridoo and offer a little bit of sound frequencies with that. Thank you so much for hanging in here with me. I feel so much joy. I shot some other videos out on the land here in Sedona. An amazing place I went to that I've been so touched with, just recently learned about. I call it, Temple of the Mansion. And you can watch for those videos. They were pre-recorded, so they haven't been uploaded yet, but they'll be coming. And there's some awesome stuff with the backdrop of Sedona, really just awesome frequency. And I feel so much gratitude to live, in this area where I can just go literally a couple minutes up the street and be on the trail and get my way up into the mountains. So great gratitude to you, Creator, for that. So let me grab the didgeridoo. So, beloved, if that didgeridoo sound current came through clearly, type yes in the chat so that I can see. As I know sometimes with technology, it'll pick it up in a good way and sometimes not. But if it came through clear, type yes in the chat, and I can see. Okay, beautiful. Anyway, what I'd like to finish up with, I know a lot of times there's many different questions that you have, and I don't always stop to really address them because sometimes it's a little bit difficult for me to let the flow happen and respond to questions. But I'd like to let this moment be specifically for questions. So in this moment, if you could just pause the general chat responses and let this moment be specifically for questions, and then I would love to respond to the questions that you have. So any questions for anyone, just put it in the chat and I can see it. I'm so grateful for this day. I'm so grateful for my spirit. I woke up to a message this morning that triggered a little bit of the emotional waves of fear that came through. I'm not sure about the truth of the message. I'm not going to forward it, but in a nutshell, it was a message that was saying, and I don't know whether this is true or not true, but it was saying that people who had caught the virus and were taking ibuprofen or taking Advil, that it was making it 10 times worse. And I'm not sure. So I'm not offering that as law, because I absolutely don't know. But I just know when I received that message, and it was shared with a tone of fear. And it was like the first thing I woke up to. I was just sitting on the side of the bed and took out my phone and saw that message. And I just trust that if that's the truth of the matter, that, beloveds will be guided, to take care of themselves and to not take anything, that could make matters worse. But I'll just give that as an example of something that came through and that triggered a fear response within me. Now, my fear responses usually, they dissipate, with the blink of an eye, because I immediately go into the clearing process. Let me see if we've got any question here. Okay, says Astarius, brother, when practicing the crown, what other energies should we try to focus on? Okay, so when you're on the crown chakra, you're focusing in essence on your godhood, your goddesshood. You see, the crown chakra is, I call it the Mount of Transfiguration, and it's where Father God and Mother God come into celestial copulation and give birth to the Christ child. Now, you don't have to be a Christian. This is not about religion. Christ is symbolic of the individualization of godhood, the way that godhood is individualized within all of us. And that's why I like to call Christianity Christ-I-amity. The other thing is that there's just a knowingness that is up there. And also the Akashic records, the book of God's remembrance, wherein there's the knowledge of everything, that is on the crown chakra. So it's you accessing that part of you that knows everything, and that you are a biological living library containing the knowledge of anything that is, was, or ever will be, and that can be accessed to the crown chakra. Okay, let me see. We have something here. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Oh, hold on. Okay, what do you think your own knowing, how long do you think this global crisis will go on? Okay, that's a wonderful question because it really brings me into an awareness of something that is important for us to really focus upon, and that is, and also I got some light coming in my face that might wash out my face. Let me close these drapes just a second. Okay, back with you. So the greater wisdom is not to focus upon how long the crisis will last, because that's looking at it from a linear perspective, from the perspective of the unfolding of time and space. Okay, so what we want to do instead is to tap into the cellular memory where we pre-memorate the moment in time in our future where the crisis is all done. You see, because we have cellular memory within us. See, when we look at past, present, and future, past, present, and future are simply different versions of now. And past, present, and future really are happening simultaneously. But past, present, and future are not simultaneously activated. So, here we are in the present, today, tomorrow, and yesterday, simultaneous realities. Here we are in today. Today is in a state of activation. When we were in our experience of yesterday, it was in a state of activation. When we come into our relationship with tomorrow, it will be in a state of activation. But they all exist simultaneously. Just like you might have a library of wonderful CDs, music, okay? And all of that information, all of that music is a simultaneous reality. But the music that becomes activated is the one that you put in the player and you play in that particular moment, while simultaneously all of the other music that you're not playing exists. So we want to focus upon a emotional, mental, spiritual alignment with that moment in time where it's all done, because that reality is recorded in cellular memory inside of us. Not only can we commemorate the past, we can pre-memorate the future. And so that's how I would recommend thinking about it, and not looking at it from a premise of how, because when we come into intimate relationship with the fact that it's already done, the solution is already there, then we'll create an acceleration of the resolution that is happening in the linear material sense. So hopefully that helps, beloved. I love you so much for that question, because it's a question that I think so many of us are asking. Let's see what else we got. Okay. What do you think this is on an astrological level? Okay. Well, did I know these times were coming? Not exact. I mean, I knew that we were going to experience things in the world that was going to completely change the way that the world operates, because in order to have the new paradigm, which is a reflection of the Aquarian age, it has to be. See, we've been in the Piscean age for a couple of thousand years, and the ages progress backwards, because in the 12 signs, Pisces is the 12th sign, but in terms of the way that the ages move, it moves in a reverse direction. So we're moving from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age. Now, the Aquarian age is the age of brotherhood and sisterhood and enlightenment, and in the recognition of the fact that we're one, and also in universal compassion, loving everybody. So the planet Saturn just went into the sign Aquarius, and also the planet that rules Aquarius is Uranus. And Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign, it's fixed earth, and so fixed earth is very much associated with the dynamics of our planet, the way that our planet has been fixed in the way that things unfold. Uranus coming into Taurus, then is sudden and unexpected changes associated with values and valuables, world values. See, Taurus is values, Taurus is valuables. And so we see a shifting in both. There's a shifting in values because, what we value has become very different, since this crisis hit, and since we're in this sacred soul retreat, and we're keeping sacred company with ourselves and being at home. That's the other thing, is that Cancer, or the North Node, which represents life purpose as it relates to present future, is in the sign of Cancer, the sign of the home. So right now we're experiencing a collective life purpose that has to do with our being in a deeper relationship with our home than ever. See, our home, as in the actual structural dwelling that we live in, but in the deeper sense, is our home of soul. So we're being taken deeper into the resonance of the home of the soul. Cancer is also ruled by the moon. So we're in a cycle where there's also a tremendous amount of empathicness. The moon is emotional empathicness, a lot more dreams and visions and that type of thing. And also moon represents mother and the divine feminine. So we see the prevailing of a nurturing kind of an energy in this crisis, the likes of which we haven't seen, because there's a thrust of the divine mother, because we have to really emotionally be there for each other. Otherwise, the planet really will be up the creek without a paddle if we don't really take care of each other. So that's really important. And let's see. Oh, and then also when the crisis hit, we were in a Mercury retrograde. Mercury, which went retrograde in Pisces, and it was also in a conjunction with the planet Neptune. Neptune dissolves things, and so we see the dissolution of business as usual, and it happened very quickly. The quickness of it was like with Uranus. Okay, Neptune in the highest resonance, as well as Pisces, represents the omnipresence, the all that is. You see, and so we have the opportunity to tap into the omnipresence of our being. So we want to come, into that particular resonance. It's really powerful to do. Let's see what else. Also, the shadow of Piscean energy can be a tremendous amount of fear, which we've seen, that happening. But then also the higher light expression of Pisces is tremendous compassion. And we see that there is an upsurge of compassion on the planet, and there has to be, with what we're dealing with. Okay, let me see if we have another question here. Okay, sending cosmic light language. Thank you so much. Frequencies to all chakras in all new ways as divine allows. So here now for you, me, and all. Yes, thank you for that. Let me just scroll up here and see if we have any other questions here. Okay, of course, just Christ consciousness. Yes, for sure. Like Christ, I amity, and then also Jesus. Okay, I remember many years ago I was at a church and the choir was singing and they were singing about Jesus, but what I heard was, "Gee, he's us," and so "Gee, he's us," or just us. And we don't want to exclusively associate that with a religion because it has to do with the individualization of Godhood. Also, okay, somebody says, what happens next? The simplest answer to that is what happens next is what we collectively create, which is one of the reasons why those of us who are light workers and really have the planet's back and have each other's back, we want to really up-level what it is that we're doing in our spiritual practice, in how it is that we're envisioning things. Like, don't be mad with the powers that be that are not doing necessarily a good job, but rather see a higher resonance for them. Make a more meaningful deposit in their soul bank. And then it's going to be there accumulating interest until they evolve into readiness to make that withdrawal. Because some of us are like really mad with the bureaucratic powers that be, the governmental powers that be, and we will not get the resolution or the solution through being mad with those parts of us. And also to humble ourselves and say that these are parts of our own self, maybe representing parts of us that are not as evolved, but it's still one. There's not a separation here. So let the heart growing. I would say one thing that needs to happen next is that we up-level the love frequency, that we believe more in each other, and that we believe in the possibility of redemption for every being. and also that we proclaim our invincibility, invisibility, and invulnerability to any of those other dimensional forces that may have some malicious intention and be working toward, the demise, of our experience, because there's so many realities within realities within realities in the universal scheme of things. Okay, let's see. Okay, is corona really a pandemic, or is fear itself having more of an effect on so many people in ways they can't fully understand? Um, yes, I would say the greater epidemic really is fear over and above, the actual physical or biological pandemic, um, because everything happens from the inner and then to the outer, and so, fear, as an inner expression of emotionality eventually then morphs into a physical manifestation. That's why I so strongly encourage, that we um, really align with our spiritual, mental, and emotional immunity. But we must bless that fear, because everything we bless will bless us back. Bless the fear to make it right, reverse the tide, and free the light. Because when we go to the center of the fear, we'll find light. Be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's why we want to pierce to the central core of everything, of the, misguided behavior of government officials, the panic that's going on, the fear that's going on. When we go to the central core of all of that, we're going to find light, because light, love, God, divinity, benevolence is owning the real estate of the center of everything. And so we want to be aware of that, and also recognizing the temporary nature of this situation. It's not eternal. It's of time and space, wherein everything will eventually be erased. So it will never outdistance us, because we're eternal, and it's definitely going to pass. And then another thing about the fear energy is, don't be afraid of death. It's really important. And death has its own beauty, because it is the entry into another version of life. Not trying to shorten anybody's stay here in this physical life experience in our bodies. But one of the problems is that we globally have so much collective fear of death. If we didn't have the same collective fear of death on a global scale, then this panic wouldn't be like it is, because, we wouldn't be so terrified at the loss of life. See, there may be a number of people who choose to leave the planet at this particular time, but it isn't really a virus that's really taking them out. It's that at some level of their being, they have chosen to exit at this point, and the virus becomes the catalyst by which the exit takes place. So that can help to demystify some things. Okay, Ascension Alchemy, I receive your blessings. I love you so much. Let's see what else we got here. I am light. Okay, and let's see. Okay, how does one embody the cosmic rays available to us? Thank you. Oh, what a wonderful question. How do we embody the cosmic rays that are available to us? The beautiful thing about it is that we don't have to coerce it into being. We don't have to manufacture it. We don't have to invoke it. We simply allow it. Again, that's why the languaging in creation is let there be. To let is to allow. And so the cosmic rays that are available, all you have to do is just be receptive to them. See, the cosmic rays are knocking on our heart's door. But when something knocks on our door, it's left to us as to whether we open the door and allow that to come in. So the cosmic rays are knocking on our door. And the question is, will we say, come in, beloved? Beloved, cosmic rays, come in, and bless me. You see, we simply allow cosmic rays to have their way with us. And we keep in mind that everything is already happening, and that the answer to everything exists inside of us. You know, like when we go to the movie, and we see this amazing movie, and the question is the movie on the screen or is the movie in the projector? Now, we experience the movie on the screen because that's how we engage. You see, but the movie is really in the projector that is being projected onto the screen. Just like me, I'm on the screen of your life. But in truth, I'm being generated from the soul projector of you. The me that you see out here is really the me that is being activated inside of you, because I am a cellular resonance of your own self. You have within you a cell for my soul and my entire soul's adventure. I have a cell within me for your soul and your entire soul adventure. We carry the entire adventure of the whole universe in the cellular matrix of our being. Just like you can take one cell from anywhere within the body and recreate the whole body. See, one cell carries the entire genetic blueprint of the whole body. And each one of us are a soul in the body of the universe. And the universe is a galaxy in the body of our soul. So we carry the entire celestial blueprint of the whole universe. So everything that we experience out there is really what is going on in here. So even when we allow the cosmic rays to come in from out there, they have first and foremost been generated from in here. Because first and foremost, those cosmic rays are cellular memory, part of the Akashic Records, the book of God's remembrance, cellular memory inside of us. And when we then experience them coming in from out there, it is simply the externalized activation of those things. So that's how we let it in. What a wonderful question. I love you so much for that. Okay, thank you, Astarius, for being the unique expression of divine that you are and that unique space you hold in and create by being you. Thank you so much. I received that compliment, and I also invite you to own it equally with me. Whenever we compliment another being, we're complimenting that part of us. I am you by extension. And see, you're whatever it is that I'm doing on the planet, you are cellular co-creator of that, cellular expressor of that. Why? Because when I create, I am accompanied by the whole resonance of the cellular presence of the universe inside of me. All creations are co-creations. I mean, I may be the ringleader in what I individually create, the pilot, but the whole universe is my co-pilot. You see, so, whenever I acknowledge another being, I also say, oh my God, what a wonderful thing I'm doing through that part of me. So now the telepathic battery cables are united, and there is a initiation of the soul jumpstart, like one car jumpstarts another when the battery is gone down. Okay, what about having the North Node in Aquarius? Any message on that? Well, North Node in Aquarius, in a nutshell, is about recognizing life purpose, the life purpose of present future. See, North Node is always life purpose relative to present future, where South Node is life purpose relative to present past. Sometimes we're leaving what needs to be released and let go of in the South Node. So basically, North Node in Aquarius, that means that you're meant to come into your universal love. You're meant to love everybody, to be in the expression of brotherhood, sisterhood. And you're also meant to be of that spirit that says, I'm going to be me, the whole me, and nothing but me, in spite of what's expected of me. North Node in Aquarius is also an indication that you may be the black sheep in the family. Not that you did anything wrong, but you don't dance to anybody else's music. You dance to the beat of your own drum. That's all, related to the Aquarian energy. And then there's more, okay. And lastly, let's see. Thank you for this uplifting eye opening. You are so welcome, Sonic Sound Alchemy. Okay, and I'm going to do maybe one more, and then we're going to close this out. Okay, listening to you, your vocal sound frequency, it holds space in and of itself. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for sharing your presence in the present in all new ways. Thank you for showing up as you do. Uh, you are so welcome and infinitely worthy. I receive that acknowledgement and invite you to share it, totally and completely with me. It looks like there's a countdown going on. They're going to